Hi guys, I want to talk about assisted suicide within the confines of our weekly challenge as far as caretakers of the dying and those who take care of those who are dead. I wanted to talk about, hi sweetheart, about the idea of assisted suicide. Why? Because it's an important topic that we really should be talking about more and more, especially as we find people who are getting, unfortunately, dementia more, Parkinson's, basically diseases where you fall apart. Essentially, yeah, you fall apart. Whether it's a shorter term thing, maybe you get 3 months, or a long term thing, maybe you have 2 years, or they don't know when you're going to fall apart. How can I keep missing spots? Ugh. Everyone is supposed to have a living will. Well, I firmly believe that part of that living will should be the idea that you get to go home when you want to. I think the right to life should go both ways. I do. I'm a firm believer of choice. I don't care what you do, whether it's illegal, whatever. You are making the choice. And when it comes down to people who are caring for those who are dying, it can be a very difficult choice to make. Now, not recently, but a few years ago, when we were talking about legislation about assisted suicides, there came up different cases where nurses and doctors were helping patients along their way, basically. The patients had spoken to their families about these things, and the families said, no, we'll keep you here, do the best that we can do. Well, unfortunately, it's not your family's choice to do what they will with you. Maybe when you're a guardian of someone and they're under the age of 18 and you're like, hey, no, you can't get that tattoo of Alice in Wonderland on your face because I said so. No, we're talking about full-grown adults, usually with their own families and kids, who are done and they want to go home. A lot of times it is a longer term care situation. A lot of people are home taken care of by family members. For instance, my father has always said if he finds out he has a terminal illness, he's going to go skydiving and mess up the chute. Like, he's told us that. We know that his choice, if it was his choice to make, he would want to go at that point. Now, obviously not probably the day that he was diagnosed, but as he gets further down the line of not being well, he would want to make that choice to go one way or another. And it was interesting as I was Googling the legislation for assisted suicide. Literally, all these things came up on inexpensive ways to commit suicide. And I was like, whoa, if the FBI ever finds this, no. But the thing is, there are plenty of inexpensive ways to commit suicide. But as a family member, would you rather come home or go to visit a dead body? Or would you rather say, okay, let's talk to the doctor, let's honor your wishes and respect your process of dying and go to an appointment or go to a hospice care center where they'll give you the shot, or, I guess, they can give you whatever they want, and that'll be it for you. I would me personally, way rather have the second option. Please, kids, pull the plug. If that's what you gotta do, that's what I forgive you. I give you my okay to do that, because I don't want my sister, hopefully I'll be older, maybe my folks will be gone, so it would be my sister and my kids that would have to make the decision for me. So, I want them to know I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Now, again, the other side of that coin is I have told my father that if he gets sick, no matter what it is, I'll take care of him. I've wiped the kids' butts enough to know that I'll wipe his butt. I don't care. Or colostomy bag or whatever, whatever it is that ends up being his thing. For our family specifically, it happens to be cancer in, your parts. It's true. For females, it's ovarian and uterine cancer. For men, it's prostate cancer. So that's how he perceived that that would be one of the ways that he might go. And I said, well, you know, we'll do whatever we have to do. Maybe that just changes the way that you live. It's not necessarily a death sentence. But him, from his perspective, he doesn't want to be a burden on the family, whereas I don't perceive that as a burden. He would perceive that as being a burden on the family. Now, I think that's probably a process that he would have to go through. A lot of this legislation, you have to talk to a psychologist before you make this decision, because they don't want people to be like, all right, I'm done, peace out, as if that's an easy way. If you're so sick you're thinking about dying, I don't perceive that as an easy way out. You know, and the thing most people don't understand is, if we're talking strictly suicides, suicides serve their time out in different ways. So if we're talking about a young person that overdosed on drugs, I've met a bunch of these, and they didn't tell anyone it was a suicide, but really it was a suicide. So they do their penance, typically by watching over somebody going through the exact same situation, but seeing it from a bigger perspective. So they see the family hurting, they see loved ones hurting, they see the person struggling with the decisions, and they get to try and intercede and say, don't do what I did, you know, you can turn this around. Because it's, or they get booted around and they get to do the same thing all over again and hopefully make different choices. Suicide isn't an automatic hell button. No, it's not at all. You usually just have to go back and do it again, which is why no medium will ever commit suicide, because we don't want to do this again. This is my last time. I'll do my penance here, and when I'm ready to go home, I'll go home. But if I was, well, cancer used to be a death sentence. I don't know, whatever a death sentence is. I come down with it, and the doctor says, you know, you got to figure out what's going on with your life, because your organs are going to start failing in 2 weeks. Well, I would be like, all right, let me do some fun stuff next week. And then as my health starts to fail, I'll get my affairs in order and go home. Would I automatically be like, all right, tomorrow, that's it, let's push the button, I'm going home? No, and I don't think anyone would. And that's my point when we're talking about assisted suicide. We're talking about people that have had the time to think about this, have had the fun before they get to go, and now they're in that pain part. Well, the problem, of course, is doctors and psychologists will tell you pain screws with your head. And if you're in that much pain, you pretty much will take any way out of it that you can get. But if it's not temporary pain, like, ow, I've broken my arm, give me lots of drugs to make me feel better, and in 3 months I'll be healed and out of this cast, we're talking about this is your new life pain and your organs are failing. So that's two very, very different things. I very much think we need to keep at this conversation. You know, we're not talking that everyone jumps off the boat when they hit 60, because 60 is not the end of life. 80 is not the end of life. I mean, our lives are like being extended tremendously because of the health and well-being and, you know, all sorts of really cool stuff. That's great. We still have the right to get off this ride. And I think we need to honor and respect the decisions that those people make, essentially. Or else we're going to keep having nurses and doctors go to jail because they're helping people with their final wishes. It sucks. I grew a tail. Puppies back there. This is a hard conversation to have, especially if you're a caretaker. If I was, so my father got sick again, and I was taking care of him, and he was in a tremendous amount of pain, and he's like, I want to go home. I'm done. I love you. It was nice being here, but I'm done. I would be like, okay, well, do I give you an overdose of the pain meds? You know, I would probably talk to somebody and be like, okay, so how do I do this? He's ready to go. Because in our state, you can't do that. Would I? Probably. Because I love my father and I respect his wishes, and he's the strongest person I've ever met. So if he's ready to go, I'm not going to make him stay around in pain because I want him to be around. And that's the key. It's our selfish wants to keep these people in our life instead of respecting their needs. They're done. They gone. So let's let them go. That's really what the conversation boils down to. If someone, I don't know. Let's say my sister got into, I don't know, an accident or something and ended up hooked up to whatever in the hospital, and the decision was like, okay, well, you have to decide whether you're going to pull the plug or not. Well, obviously they give you a lot of information at that point. You know, the brain activity, the possibility of waiting. If anyone's ever been in this situation before and come out, you know, talking probably about donating organs. She's young and healthy and all that jazz. You know, and I've never spoken to her about this. I haven't. So I wouldn't know what she would want me to do. I would probably wait as long as I could, or if there were no brain waves, meaning, you know, she gone and it's just her healthy body here, then I would probably donate, because she would want that. But as far as if there were some and then there were none, how long do I wait? If she came back paralyzed, how would you feel about that? I don't know. But it makes me think that we need to be having these conversations with each other. They're not easy conversations to have, but we need to do these things. We have to do these things. Nobody wants to be a burden on their family, but if it's not perceived as being a burden by the family, you just feel like you're being a burden, that's totally different. And we need to have those conversations too. You know, what if it's a financial burden? What if it's not just me taking care of my father at home? I have to give up my job to do that, so that's a financial cut. But then, you know, also we have to actually take care of whatever his stuff is, and that's, but you know, how would we do that? You know, these are things that we need to think about, especially as we get older. Our parents are getting older too, and I don't want to be on his deathbed, him being like, man, you should have let me go 3 weeks ago. This sucks. I've been miserable. I would feel terrible then, right? So instead, or him coming back after he passes and being like, dude, why did you keep me? I've been a vegetable for like 3 months. And be like, oh, had I known. Well, this is why we need to have these conversations. I fully support assisted suicide. I don't see this as some frivolous option. Just like I don't see the decision to make an abortion as a frivolous option either. These are not easy decisions to be made by anybody. And I hope, knock on wood, that I'm never in the situation to have to make this decision. But chances are, with a lot of healthy parents, you know, in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, I might be making these decisions. And I would rather have a conversation now and then be like, oh, you know, we did talk about that. You know, we've talked about it annually when we review wills or whatever. I'm going to do what you wish. Let me know when you're ready to go. All right? That's a much easier conversation to have than at the end, why did you hold on to me for so long? I was miserable. I was in pain. I didn't want to be there. I love you. I want to go home. You know, that's a much harder conversation to have after the fact, when you could do something about things now. So, proactive. Please start having these conversations. Even if it's just theoretical conversations with your friends. You never know. You never know who might be in an accident next week and their family's like, I don't know what to do. I never talked to them about this. I did. We talked about it, you know, a few months ago. And she said this, and this. That's information to share with people. Information is good. Information is good. Everyone should have everyone over like 35 should have a living will. Even if you don't have assets, you know, medical decisions that may need to be made in your stead, put them on paper, dude. It's not that hard. You can do it on the computer now, you know, LegalZoom or whatever. I'm sure there's a bajillion different ones that do it. But at least think about these things. And do a journal entry. How would you feel if I mean, we are all willing to let go of our pets. We are willing, literally, to do assisted suicide with our pets when they are in pain and they are ready to go. But we can't do that for our people. Like, seriously. Heavy topic, but we need to talk about it. Okay? All right, I love you. Talk to you later. Bye.